in the opulent glow of the grand ballroom at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City, where crystal chandeliers dripped like frozen waterfalls and the air hummed with the clink of champagne flutes, Sheikh Khalid al-Rashid stood frozen. He was a titan of the desert sands, a billionaire whose oil empires spanned continents, whose private jets whispered across oceans like secrets. Tonight, he was the guest of honor at a charity gala for orphan children, his tailored thobe a cascade of midnight silk embroidered with threads of gold. But as the auctioneer's gavel fell on the final bid, a priceless diamond necklace donated for the cause, Khalid stepped forward to claim it, his black Amex card extended like a scepter. The reader beeped once, twice, then flashed a cruel red denial. Declined. The room, a sea of tuxedos and gowns glittering under the lights, fell into a hush that amplified every heartbeat. Whispers slithered like smoke. The Sheikh? Impossible. A glitch, surely. But Khalid felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, the sting of vulnerability sharper than any sandstorm he'd weathered in his Arabian homeland. For a man who commanded boardrooms and bent economies to his will, this was exile in a single swipe. He straightened, forcing a smile as brittle as cracked porcelain, murmuring excuses about international wires and time zones. Inside, shame coiled like a serpent, reminding him of the boy he'd once been, orphaned young in the dunes, scraping for scraps until fortune's wind lifted him high. Across the ballroom, in the shadowed alcove where staff darted like benevolent ghosts, Maria Lopez paused mid-stride. She was the head housekeeper, her uniform starched to perfection after 20 years of polishing these marble floors. Her hands, calloused from years of scrubbing away the world's indulgences, trembled slightly as she clutched a tray of empty glasses. Maria had come to America from Mexico as a girl with dreams bigger than her suitcase, raising her daughter Sophia on tips and tenacity in a cramped Queens apartment. Sophia, now 22, wasn't on the staff roster tonight. She'd tagged along as Maria's shadow, wide-eyed at the extravagance, her simple black dress a stark contrast to the sequins around her. But Sophia's eyes, dark and steady as desert nights, locked onto the Sheikh's predicament. She saw not a fallen king but a man adrift, much like the fatherless boys her mother volunteered to feed at the local shelter. "Sophia, mija, we must go," Maria hissed, tugging her arm. The gala was winding down and their shift, unofficial for Sophia, demanded discretion. But Sophia shook her head, her ponytail swaying like a pendulum of resolve. "Mama, wait." She'd saved every penny from her part-time job at the corner bodega, pennies that added up to a modest nest egg for community college tuition. In her purse, no bigger than a prayer book, lay her debit card, linked to an account that held $2,347.62, the sum of skipped lattes and second shifts. It wasn't wealth, but it was hers, forged in the quiet fire of selflessness. As Khalid turned to slip away, the auctioneer cleared his throat awkwardly, suggesting a follow-up payment. The crowd murmured sympathy, but Sophia wove through them like water through stone. She reached the podium just as the Sheikh's hand hovered over his phone, defeat etching lines into his proud face. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice soft but unyielding, laced with the warm lilt of her mother's heritage. Heads turned, curious then amused as this unassuming girl in a thrift store dress stepped into the spotlight. Khalid blinked down at her, his dark eyes narrowing in confusion. "Yes?" Without a word, Sophia pulled out her card and handed it to the reader. Beep, green, approved. The total, $1.2 million, flashed on the screen, and the room erupted in gasps. Maria dropped her tray with a crystalline shatter, her face paling as if the world had tilted. "Sophia, no?" The auctioneer stammered. "Miss, this is impossible. You can't—" But the transaction cleared. The necklace, a cascade of ice fire stones now hers by proxy, destined for the charity's silent coffers. Khalid stared, his composure fracturing like the spilled glasses at Maria's feet. "Child, what have you done? Return it at once. I will cover this tenfold." But Sophia met his gaze unflinching. "Sir, I've seen men like you before, not in ballrooms but in line at the food bank. Proud but hurting. You came here for the children, right? The ones without fathers or fortunes? This isn't about the money. It's about not letting pride steal your heart tonight." Her words hung in the air, simple as bread, profound as prophecy. The crowd, once voyeurs to his humiliation, now leaned in, sensing the alchemy of the moment. In the stunned silence that followed, an unexpected turn unfolded. Khalid's hand trembled as he reached for her, not in anger, but in awe. "How did you know?" he whispered, his voice cracking like thunder over dunes. Sophia tilted her head, and in that instant, realization dawned on him, sharp as a mirage revealing truth. He hadn't just lost face. He'd glimpsed his own emptiness. The sheikhs of his world measured worth in wells and wings, but here was a girl who'd bartered her future for a stranger's dignity. Maria rushed forward, tears streaking her cheeks, pulling Sophia into an embrace. "Mi ángel loco," she sobbed. "Why, mija?" "We needed that for your books." "Because, Mama," Sophia replied, her voice steady amid the whispers swelling to applause. "Books are just paper if your soul starves first. He needed this more than I need a degree right now." The sheikh, unmoored, sank into a chair as if the weight of his empires had finally bowed him. He thought of his own daughter, lost to illness 5 years prior, her laughter echoing in empty palaces. The fortune that bought islands couldn't buy back her light. And now this maid's daughter, this fierce, forgotten bloom, had illuminated his darkness with a swipe of plastic and pure grace. Word spread like wildfire through the ballroom, drawing the gala's elite closer, philanthropists in pearls, CEOs with cufflinks worth kingdoms. But it wasn't their checks that transformed the night. It was Khalid's unraveling. He rose not as the sheikh but as Khalid, the boy from the sands. "Miss Lopez," he said, his accent thick with emotion, "you have schooled me in wealth I cannot tally. Allow me—" He paused, then gestured to an aide who hurried forward with a tablet. Within minutes, a scholarship fund bloomed in Sophia's name. Full tuition, not just for her, but for 10 more like her from Maria's neighborhood. Gasps turned to cheers, but Khalid held up a hand. "No, this is not repayment. It is seed for the kindness you planted." The climax crested as Sophia, tears brimming but unbroken, clasped his hands, rough from labor meeting smooth from luxury. "Keep the necklace for the auction," she urged. "Sell it again. Let it multiply." And in that touch, humanity bridged the chasm. The sheikh, once isolated by gold, felt the pulse of shared fragility. He nodded, weeping openly now, the room dissolving into a symphony of sniffles and spontaneous hugs. Maria, beaming through her worry, whispered to her daughter, "You are my greatest treasure, always." As the night faded into dawn's tentative light filtering through Central Park's silhouette, the gala dispersed not with the usual haze of excess but with a quiet revolution. Khalid lingered, walking Sophia and Maria to their subway stop, a sheikh in thobe amid the rumble of the 4 train. "Come to Dubai," he invited, not as command but plea. "Teach my people what true fortune means." Sophia laughed, light as morning birds. "Maybe one day, sir. But tonight, we go home rich already." In the end, the declined card wasn't a fall from grace but a divine detour. It reminded a watching world that empires crumble without compassion, that the smallest hand extended can steady the mightiest storm, and in the hearts of all who witnessed it, from ballrooms to bodegas, hope took root. That in our broken, beautiful humanity, no rejection is final, and every act of selfless fire can light the way home. For in giving what we cannot spare, we claim what money never buys, the unbreakable wealth of the soul.